Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure vehicle review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, the Flash movie Batmobile. This is a Batmobile very similar to the one from the 1989 film, and it looks to be by far the best version out there for 6 and 7 inch scale figures. This thing is massive, and it's priced very reasonably. I got this at Target today. The entire wave was street dated for today, and I picked the whole thing up this morning. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, the Flash movie, DC Multiverse Batmobile, 22 inches, 60 centimeters. There it is, the front in all of its glory. The top, Flash, Batmobile from the Flash. One side, same stuff. Other side, same stuff again. On the back, here is the Batmobile looking fantastic. Here's an image of the Keaton Batman in the cockpit, sitting there in the canopy, the driver's seat. On the bottom, bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case it helps anybody. So with no further ado, let's open it up. And I did get the entire wave today at Target. They've been street dated, so I've been hoping to get them earlier, but it just didn't happen. You may notice one of the figures is missing, the standard Barry Allen Flash. I actually found him at Target about a week ago. Finally have the entire wave complete, except for that giant McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Batwing. Alright, now that you have this vehicle out of the package, here it is with all the accessories laid out. It has 2 removable fins, and then a collector's card. Before we go any further, let's attach the fins. 2 fins here that go on the back of the bike. Either side says left or right. This is for the left-hand side. Let's pop one real quick. Alright, just wanted to get those fins on there. Now the Batmobile looks like its iconic self. Let's talk about this Batmobile for a second. This is probably the most iconic Batman Batmobile out there. 1989 Batmobile. Looks amazing. It's sleek. The fins. It's black. It has ornaments. It is an amazing piece. I was 5 years old when Batman came out, and the movie was very influential on my Batman fandom. When I found out McFarlane was making a 7 inch scale, I was very excited, and honestly, it does not disappoint. I've been able to handle this thing all day, so I've gotten kind of used to it, and it's not perfect. It's maybe a little bit too glossy, and that's not a big deal at all. The canopy is made in a lighter shade of gray than the rest of the vehicle. Kind of noticeable. It's also a little bit too tall, but that's not a very big deal. Honestly, neither one of those things are. If I really wanted to, I could repaint it. Yeah, I shouldn't have to. But this thing still looks gorgeous. Beyond that, there are 2 things I was really hoping for when they first announced this vehicle. Number 1, that the canopy would slide forward just like in the film. And number 2, that it would be a 2-seater. When I saw the promotional pictures, it didn't seem like McFarlane did either one of those things. It's definitely not a 2-seater, and that's kind of disappointing. It holds 1 Batman figure, and it's pretty tight and snug in there. Even though this is a giant Batmobile, I feel like it's more for the 1/12 scale than the 1/10 scale, which is what McFarlane is, 7 inch figures. Still, it's an amazing piece. The figures look great next to it. The figures can fit inside of it, which is awesome. I honestly don't really wish it was any larger. It looks fantastic as is. It is probably the best 6 and 7 inch scale Batmobile out there. The only competitor might be the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series 1, but I'd say I like this one more. Keep in mind, I've not actually seen the Flash film. None of us have. Maybe it's a whole different Batmobile that's a 1-seater, but I doubt it. The Batmobile didn't exactly get destroyed in Batman Returns, but the side pieces came off and he left behind. Probably could have rebuilt that thing, although they switched to a different Batmobile in Batman Forever. I'm guessing it is the exact same Batmobile in the Flash film from the 1989 film, but time will tell. There have also been some rumors of a Batmobile and gold label Batman in 1989 suit, sort of a 2-pack, and I've seen people online saying, oh, maybe that'll be the proper 1989 car with 2 seats. It will be the exact same car, I guarantee it, and hopefully it'll give us that proper Keaton McFarlane figure. That'll be awesome. This Batmobile is selling like hotcakes. McFarlane's going to find a way to re-release it. Now, another thing I was concerned about is the plastic shell on the outside. was worried it was going to be kind of like the Batmobile, which feels cheap and kind of brittle. It is not that bad. It feels good. It's sturdy. It's not sort of bendable and cheap feeling. I mean, it is a plastic shell, but way better quality than the Batmobile. Now let's talk about the price. $60. That is about the price of 3 DC Multiverse figures. You know what? Scratch that. They raised the price to $22.99, so it is cheaper than 3 McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. And if you look at just how big it is, I'd say it's a great value. The reason it's a one-seater is probably to sort of help keep the value and the size of this thing. Yeah, I would have paid $100 gladly for a bigger one, a little bit harder plastic, two-seater, etc., whole 9 yards. But I'm really happy with what we got. And McFarlane did an awesome job of balancing value and quality. Kind of get the best of both worlds. Now that I've finished my rant about the Batmobile and the introduction to this video, let's take a look at the car. But first, let's get the collector's card out of the way. So as a collector's card, the Batmobile. On the back side, there is a description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. So now let's take a look at the car. And it is so good. It is just so freaking good. So, let's start with the front here. This giant missile type thing. The sleek design. Got some headlights here. Tires that actually spin. And they feel kind of rubbery. Not really that thick. Nicer rubber, but, you know, kind of medium. Bat symbols on the hubcaps. Got some sort of engine parts in here. Some sort of exhaust here. Another wheel in the back, also spins. As we go to the back, we got the main exhaust, and then a bunch of other ones as well. Brake lights. The fins attached to the back. This is the area in the movie where it rise up and guns came out. At the bottom, bat symbol, pretty flat. Now the canopy here, yes, look at that. It's a much lighter color, and that does kind of suck, but I'd say it's less noticeable in person than it is on camera. I don't know. You can definitely repaint it also, but it does kind of suck. You can tell they made it 2 separate pieces, 2 separate parts at the factories, and probably it's a factory error versus McFarlane error, but still, it is what it is. They proved it to come out the assembly line look like this. Doesn't mess up too bad for me, but I've seen some repaints online, and my god, they look amazing. Put this thing into a full black, a little bit less glossy and shiny. Oh boy, I saw some cool pictures on Instagram. And so I mentioned the canopy. There were 2 things I wanted. It to be a 2-seater and the canopy to slide forward. Now, it's not a 2-seater, and it is what it is. It's still an amazing vehicle, but the canopy. So, in order to open the canopy, there's a little button here. You press it, and you kind of see it springs open. Now, a picture online, it opens like this, and I was like, really? That kind of sucks. I mean, whatever. You can put the figure in this way, but it's not how it was in the film. But the actual toy not only can do that, but it can also slide forward. Why they gave both options, I have no idea. It seems totally pointless to have both options there. But it's really cool. It can actually slide forward just like in the film. And since we're on the subject, let's take a look inside of here. So we've got a seat sitting pretty far down there. Now he can't sit normal. His legs are going to have to be straight going down in there. And it's very tight when you put the Batman figure in here. It's got a bunch of different sort of controls next to the seat. Then we got the dashboard with a bunch of different knobs and meters. Steering wheel that does not turn is a solid piece, but it looks really nice in there. Pretty good, sort of medium size detail. Now let's check out the measurements of this thing. And it is a big boy. So, from front to back, it's about 21 inches long. From bottom to top, about 5 inches tall. And as far as how wide it is, from the deepest point, about 9 inches wide. Here's the Flash movie, Keaton Batman next to his Batmobile. So, slide the canopy forward. Batman, get ready, get inside. So upon first glance, I get him in there, and it's like he doesn't even fit. Put him in there, try to slide the canopy back, and his ears are kind of in the way. Looks like he's sitting in there just right, though. But you gotta kind of really push him in there and slide his head back. It's not the easiest thing to do. It almost feels like I wish his feet would go in there just a tiny bit further. Long story short, gotta get him down up in there. If you need to, yeah, you can turn to the side, pull him out. But there have been a few times I've been able to sort of just get him back there without bending the ears. It works. Slide the canopy back. Bam. There you have it. Batman in the Batmobile, 7-inch scale. So there you have it. McFarlane's 1989 Batmobile from the Flash movie. 7-inch scale figure fitting inside with complete clearance. And he's got tall bat ears. The vehicle looks amazing. Probably the best Batmobile out there in the 6 and 7-inch scale. In fact, I'll just go out on a limb and say it is. It is a little bit rough to get the Batman in there. I feel like it'd be nice if his legs go a little bit further in and slide a little further down. His ears are a little bit hard to clear. You don't really want to bend them, so you can just sort of turn his head to the side and get under there. And if you push him down and get it just right, you don't even have to do that. But it can be a little bit tricky at times, and it's quite snug under there, more so than it should be. Here's McFarlane's Batfleck from the Flash, next to his Batmobile. Here's the Ben Affleck Batman in this thing. Now, it's definitely harder to get him in. It's not meant for him. His legs are a little bit bigger, thicker. It's kind of harder to put him in. Slide him down in there. It feels like I wish it would just go a little further in. His head has to kind of lean back to fit behind there. It doesn't look too terribly awful, but not as good as the Keaton in there. Of course, canopy slide shut, no problem. And I personally was really curious how the NECA 1989 Keaton Batman would fit in this thing. I love this NECA Keaton Batman figure. It is fantastic. So, take the Batmobile, slide the canopy forward, and you know what? I'll be damned. Match made in heaven. He looks better with the original suit. He fits better. This Batman figure is just a tiny bit smaller, but he fits in there perfect. Slides in a lot easier. Ears have complete clearance of having to lean him back. Wow, I can't believe it. It is like it's meant for this figure. I was also curious if the Mezco 112 Collective Keaton Batman would fit in this thing. He's smaller than the NECA one, so he should, although the legs move a little bit differently. I've got the wire cape on mine. I'm definitely taking off the cape to see if this works. Of course it works. He's even smaller than the NECA version. Legs move just fine. Very roomy in there. Now let's check out a couple of action scenes. Here's the unmasked Michael Keaton Batman sitting in the Batcave, doing some research at the Batcomputer. A closer look at him, eyes glued on the screen. Both versions of Barry Allen from the Ben Affleck universe and the Keaton universe come together to the Batcave. They're looking for some help to defend against General Zod. Batman there meets them both. Do you guys need some help? Both the Barry Allens are in awe of what they're seeing. One of the Barry Allens says, you're... And Batman looks at them and says, yeah, that's right. I'm Batman. Batman gets ready to hop into the Batmobile. Canopy slides forward, preparation for him. Here's an image of Batman driving in front of a liquor store, patrolling through the streets of Gotham. Here's an aerial view of Batman driving through the streets of Gotham between a couple of buildings. And here he is, leaving Arkham Asylum, driving under the gates. Here's Batman in the Batmobile, chasing after some Joker thugs in the Joker van and some Joker cars, kind of like in the first film, although it's a little bit more in scale with the older Toy Biz version. Here's Batman in the Batcave, with the Michael Go Alfred serving him some refreshments, 1989 style with this awesome Batmobile behind him. Here's the same image, just a little bit lighter so you can see everything going on. Now let's check it out. Next to some other vehicles, starting off with some other Flash movie vehicles. Here it is, next to the Flash movie Batcycle. And here it is, next to the Spin Masters, a 12-inch scale Batwing. This thing scales up great with your McFarlane 7-inch figures, and it's a massive, giant vehicle, very affordable price. Looking forward to McFarlane's version of the Batwing, which is going to be even bigger. These two vehicles look to both be in Keaton's armory in the Flash film. Now let's check it out. Next is some other Keaton vehicles. Here it is, next to the older Toy Biz Michael Keaton 1989 Batmobile. This is a version without the canopy by Toy Biz that I had. Now there's a nicer one that Kenner made in the Dark Knight collection with the canopy. Never had that one, neither as a kid nor an adult. This is a version that has a shield cocoon, a plastic shell that goes on top, which is really cool. Man, I hope he gets to use the shell and the shields into the new movie. That'd be awesome. Then, next to the Toy Biz Batwing from the 1989 film, I would love a 7-inch scale version of this. And here it is, next to the Kenner Batman Returns ski boat. He used this in the second film. Would also love a bigger version of this. Now let's check it out. Next to some Batman vehicles and Batmobiles from the different live-action films. Here it is, next to both the McFarlane on the left and the Mattel version of the 1966 Batmobile. In the 66 film, they use a bunch of other vehicles. They use the Batcycle, the Batboat, and the Batcopter. Here it is, next to the Batcycle by McFarlane and Hot Wheels, as well as Batboat by McFarlane. I fully expect them to eventually give us a Batcopter from that film. And here it is, next to the older Toy Biz 1989 Batmobile. Now they use the exact same Batmobile in Batman and Batman Returns, but there's a really cool one that Kenner made that turns into the Batmissile. Would love to get my hands on one of those one day. In addition to the Batmobile, he used the Batwing in the 89 film. He also used the Bat Ski Boat in Batman Returns. Here it is, next to the Kenner Batman Forever Batmobile. Batman Forever was a continuation of Batman and Batman Returns, although a lot of things look different. This Batmobile was supposed to replace that Batmobile because of the Batmissile incident, and to give it a fresh new look. Batman Forever also had the Batboat and their own version of the Batwing. And then, here it is, next to the Kenner Batman and Robin Batmobile. It replaced the Batman Forever Batmobile, which was also destroyed in that film. They also used this Bat Hammer and Ice Vehicle, among others, at the end of the film. Here's this Batmobile with 3 different versions of the Tumbler from Batman Begins. The one on the left is Super Studios, 1/12 scale, and then the 2 on the right are a couple of versions by Mattel. Also pretty nice, but 5-inch scale. In the Dark Knight trilogy, not only did they use the Tumbler, but Batman drove the Batpod. Here are 3 different Batpods by Mattel, Mafex, and SH Figure Arts. Batman also flew the Bat in The Dark Knight Rises. Here's this new Batmobile, next to the Hot Toys 1/12 scale, the Bat. Here it is, next to Mattel's basic Batman vs Superman Batmobile. This is actually the only version of the Batman vs Superman Batmobile I have in 6 or 7-inch scale. The only other one I'm aware of is a crazy overpriced third-party one, although I think technically it's officially licensed at this point. And even though it's nice, I can't bring myself to pay that much. But they made 3 different versions of the Batmobile from Justice League, which is the same Batmobile, but it has a cannon up top. They're all 3 by Mattel. From left to right, we have the Mattel basic version, then the Mattel DC Multiverse version, and the last one is the Mattel Ultimate DC Multiverse version that's radio controlled. In addition to Ben Affleck using the Batmobile, in Batman vs Superman, he had the Batwing. No company has made that. I would love one of those in 6-inch scale. In the film Justice League, he had a couple other vehicles, one of which was the Nightcrawler. Here's his Batmobile, next to a Mattel Nightcrawler. Batman also flew the Flying Fox in Justice League, large troop transport. Here's the Mattel version next to his Batmobile. And I don't know how many of you out there noticed, but at the end of Zack Snyder's Justice League, we had Batflag on top of the Bat Tank. Here's his Batmobile next to a custom Bat Tank. This one is actually from Batman The Dark Knight Returns. And the most recent Batmobile to be featured in a live-action Batman movie is the Batmobile from The Batman, driven by Robert Pattinson. Here's the Hot Wheels 1/10 scale version, and I'm really hoping to find the Spin Master 12-inch scale version. In addition to using the Batmobile in The Batman, he also drove the Batcycle on the left and the Drifter motorcycle on the right. These are both from McFarlane Toys. Here are my favorite of each of the different movie Batmobile releases they've made. From left to right, we have the Mattel 1966 Batmobile, then McFarlane's 1989 Batmobile from The Flash, then the Kenner Batman Forever Batmobile, then the Kenner Batman Robin Batmobile, then the Sub Studios Tumbler, and then the Mattel DC Multiverse Justice League Batmobile, and finally the Hot Wheels 1/10 scale the Batman Batmobile. Pretty nice collection here. Here's this Batmobile next to my cat Mulder. Now let's check it out. Next to some other McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman vehicles. Here it is next to their first vehicle, the Batraptor. And here it is next to both versions of the Batmobeast. Then, next to all the different Batcycles McFarlane has made. Now the next vehicle, not really sure what it's going to be, but for a while there have been rumors of a Batman Beyond Batmobile, a White Knight Batmobile, and even a Hush Batmobile. Fingers are crossed. Now let's check it out, next to some other Batmobiles. This is probably the best Batmobile out there for the 6 and 7 inch scale. I'd say the biggest runner-up, or possible competition, would be the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. That one looks amazing, and so does this one. That one is for 6 inch scale figures, this one for 7 inch scale. But they're both very iconic Batmobiles of the 90s. Here it is, next to both variations of the DC Direct Batman the Animated Series Batmobile. And I know it's not a Batmobile, but here it is, next to the DC Direct Batwing from Batman the Animated Series. Arguably the most impressive Batman vehicle in the 6 and 7 inch scale out there. Now let's check it out, next to some other Batmobiles in the 6 and 7 inch scale. And there aren't that many I haven't covered already. Here it is, next to the Mattel comic Batmobile from 2005. This is a 2-seater for 6 inch scale figures. And here it is, next to a couple more Mattel 6 inch scale Batmobiles. On the left, it's Power Attack. On the right, Batman Unlimited. Then, next to a Mattel Batman Mission 6 inch scale Batmobile. And now, next to a couple of Spin Master Batmobiles. These are actually for 12 inch scale figures, but they work great for your 6 and 7 inch scale stuff. These look kind of like they're based off the White Knight. And finally, here it is next to another Spin Master 12 inch scale Batmobile. This is more of an armored version. I'm really hoping to track down the Batman 12 inch scale Spin Master Batmobile. Here's a look at the entire Flash wave. So far, we've got 7 figures, 2 vehicles, with a Batwing upcoming, and maybe some more surprises later. Now let's check out this Batmobile, next to some Batman figures from different various companies. Here are several different McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman figures in front of this Batmobile. And here's McFarlane's Keaton Batman in the cockpit. This is the figure intended to go in this vehicle. And then, here's some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Batman figures in front of the Batmobile. I don't think I have a single DC Direct Batman figure without a plastic cape, except for this Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Batman. And he's a little bit smaller than your average DC Direct figure, and even he was kind of hard to fit in the cockpit, mostly because of how his legs are. So DC Direct, for the most part, is a no-go. And here's some NECA Batman figures staying in front of this car. And here's the NECA Keaton Batman in this Batmobile. Fits better than the McFarlane version. Then, some Mezco 112 collective Batman figures in front of this car. Here's the Mezco 89 Keaton Batman in the car. Very roomy, almost feels like he's a little bit too small for it. Here are some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Batman figures in front of the car. Here's the Mattel Batman Forever Batman with a cloth cape in the cockpit. Fits just fine. Here are several Mafex Batman figures in front of this car. Here's the Mafex Batfleck in this car. Fits just fine. And finally, here are some SH Figure Arts Batman figures in front of the Batmobile. And then the SH Figure Arts 1989 Keaton Batman in this car. And mostly because of the cloth cape, it was really hard to get this guy into the cockpit. So overall, this is a fantastic vehicle. It looks gorgeous, sleek. It's that iconic vehicle from 1989, from my childhood. One of the most memorable Batmobiles out there, and it's 7 inch scale. It's giant, it's durable, and it's affordable. But it's not perfect. Overall, the thing is a little bit too small for a 1/10 scale. And to tell you the truth, I don't really want it to be larger. It's already so big, it takes a lot of space in everyone's collection. I do wish it was a 2-seater, but if that were the case, it'd have to be wider and longer. And I got mixed feelings. Yes, I wanted to fit 2 figures so bad, but they barely fit in there as it is, so I can only imagine how big it'd have to be to accommodate 2 of those figures. That being said, it just looks fantastic. Now, the gray on the canopy, I didn't think it was a big deal. I keep trying to convince myself, oh, it's not that noticeable. But when I showed it to my son, first thing he said was, hey, why is the top gray? And I was like, ugh. Every single picture I've taken of this thing, when I look at it, it is very noticeable. Now, it doesn't exactly ruin the car, but it kind of ruins the car. Yes, it can be repainted, and the whole thing could benefit from a repaint, just like the majority of McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. But you shouldn't even have to think about that. Now, to offset that, the value is phenomenal. $60, that is cheaper than 3 McFarlane toys. And that's a pretty impressive thing to say about a car of this magnitude. If this is a Hasbro thing, you know, it might be just a little bit nicer, but it would cost you $350, and that is no exaggeration. So as a whole, I want to rate this thing like a 9 out of 10, but honestly, it does have a couple of flaws. Lower it down to an 8 out of 10, but you got to factor in the value as well. So I'm going to give this guy an 8.5 out of 10. But I'll tell you, I'm definitely enjoying it, at least a 9 out of 10's worth. Vehicle is awesome, and probably the best Batmobile out there. The Batman the Animated Series Batmobile is very nice and very accurate. It lights up. It is a 2-seater, which is awesome, but it's for 6-inch scale figures. This is for the true 7-inch scale figures, meaning it's going to work with your 6-inch scale figures and your 7-inch scale figures, and that is awesome. It's very rare to get a vehicle that can truly hold your 7-inch scale action figures. I think in the long run, this is going to be a very hard to get valuable piece, and they are going to reissue it. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure and action figure vehicle reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.